Nevada's Democratic convention this weekend. Let's watch.
And no shuttle bans.
Well, the general counsel for the Democratic Party in Nevada, Bradley Schrager, warned similar chaotic scenes could unfold at the national convention coming this summer in Philadelphia. Schrager said, quote, "We believe, unfortunately, that the tactics and behavior on display here in Nevada are harbingers of things to come as Democrats gather in Philadelphia in July for our national convention." Well, with me here in New York is my colleague Andrew Mitchell, host of Andrew Mitchell Reports on MSNBC. We're also joined by MSNBC's Joy Reid and Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist Eugene Robinson of the Washington Post. Andrew, this story I'm getting my reports myself about. The roughness, the over-the-top behavior of some of these gung-ho Trump, Sanders people that are just really calling up the restaurant, threatening all kinds of stuff against where she works, the party chair works, and all these gimmicks.
And the pushback, and I talked to her earlier, and I knew you were going to talk to her, the pushback from the Sanders people is they feel that they were treated really roughly, really unfairly, in terms of parliamentary procedure, not in terms of any kind of violence.
Yeah.
And they feel they're being accused unfairly of violence. That
threatening to hang somebody in public?
Well, they don't take... Bernie Sanders put out a statement denouncing that, condemning that, saying any kind of harassment or violence that he's always condemned. Yeah. And they say that that nobody can prove who it was that made these calls and threats. Right. So you've got both sides. I think the bottom line here is just the anger, the raw anger on, in the Sanders camp against what they see as being railroaded. And
what's the evidence? What's the objective evidence on that front?
There's no objective evidence because I talked to John Ralston, who was there, who's our very reliable, well-known Nevada reporter, and he said this is like a convention. It's like any convention any of us have ever covered. When you've got the votes, and the actual split was 20 delegates for Clinton and 15 for Sanders, which was exactly what we were told on February 20th after the caucus was held. So it ratifies the results of the voters. Right. What the Sanders campaign were very frustrated by, they thought that they were going to go to these county conventions and then win more delegates at the state convention. But the bottom line, according to Ralston and other people I've spoken to, is that the Sanders delegates did not turn up in force. That's right. And they were outnumbered.
Well, Joy, I'll just tell you what the tactics are. So we decided to blame for the tactics by calling up for place of employment. The party chair actually has a job at a restaurant, calling up, harassing the people there, telling them to quit their jobs, putting out an announcement the restaurant is closed permanently, all kinds of stuff like that.
But not only that, but also leaving harassing voice messages on her phone.
We're talking about the state party
to the state party chairman of the state Democratic Party of Nevada. There were threats saying that they know where her granddaughter goes to school. She got incredibly horrifying text messages and messages. I mean, the behavior of it. And the thing is that this is not the first time that we've heard this kind of a story. I spoke with superdelegates who were on that spreadsheet and it wasn't the Sanders campaign, but a Sanders supporter sent out a spreadsheet with the names, addresses, and phone numbers of superdelegates, as well as their social media contacts, telling people to voluntarily call them up and tell them they need to be for Sanders. They didn't understand the procedure. They didn't show up in the correct number, so there were a lot of missing slots that they were supposed to fill in Nevada. And then because they were outnumbered physically and because they were outvoted through the parliamentary procedure, you just had this eruption. Okay, I trust Harry Reid to know politics, and he went after Sanders today and asked him to do something about it. Sanders was late to the game. He finally said something tonight which sounded much more defiant.
It was a statement, right. It was a statement, yes, we decry violence, but and then it went on in a very combative way. Look, the Sanders people want to win the primaries process, right? But they're not winning it. I mean, that's just the fact. And so there comes a point in every primary battle where, guess what? You do get railroaded because you don't have more delegates than the other person, and therefore you lose. And there are hard feelings and this and that. This is not an abnormal process. To it, however, has been abnormal. Yeah, I think throwing chairs, we've got to get... well, it does not look like it. The video wasn't too good there. It was all ahead of people, above their heads. I've heard stories about chairs being thrown. I mean, this was violent. And the thing about it is that I think frustrates when you talk with rank-and-file Democrats is that for the most part, these are people who are new to the process, who don't understand the process, and who are taking the process to be unfair because they don't understand it. And in the case of parliamentary procedure, some of the people who showed up weren't registered Democrats. You cannot win in a Democratic... Well, neither is Bernie. Well, but Bernie, you know, how does Bernie Sanders want to be remembered, right? I mean, obviously he wants to be remembered as the 45th president. That's not likely.
Happened.
But
he's angry too.
Does he want to be remembered as a person?
We're going to find out more. This story is a slow burner. We've only now developed an understanding of the story a bit now, and here it is Tuesday, and it happened on Saturday. Anyway, Andrea.